All right, I think we have motion.
Okay.
Okay, I was curious. Where are you from?
I'm from Philadelphia.
Oh, okay, born and raised.
Yes, born and raised, yes.
Nice. Okay, where are you located currently?
I work in Delaware, but I live in Maryland.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Oh, I love the DMV. I have friends from college that live there. I've had
Okay.
really good food there.
Oh, yes. Do you like crabs?
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
It is the
Okay.
best. And we live here by the coast, but it's not the same.
Yeah. Yes, for sure it's different.
So, did you see the questions that Eric sent over?
I did see the questions.
Okay, just so I can make sure you're comfortable with things. If there's something that you're uncomfortable with or want to skip, like feel free to let me know.
Sure. No, there wasn't anything I was uncomfortable with.
Okay, I always love to ask that first because sometimes some of the questions may not apply or it's just like you may not want to talk about something. But I wanted to start off by asking about a spark moment. So, what was the first thing you ever built, designed, or fixed that made you realize that you wanted to be an engineer?
So I was in over the summer I was required to be in, some type of summer program. So you didn't, spend the summer lollygagging around. So I got exposed to a program that was geared towards STEM. So we just were exposed to different colleges where we saw the things that they were doing. So that's how I got exposed to engineering. So just being able to see things designed and built and all the calculations that went into designing things just made me want to be an engineer.
Definitely understandable. I love that. Um, so when it comes to stereotypes, especially in ACE or architecture, construction, and engineering, as we know, it's often male dominated. And what was one of the biggest barriers that you faced early in your career, and how did you knock it down?
So I want to say being in a male dominated Caucasian environment, you really have to gain their respect. So you have to not let um, some of their feelings that the fact that you're a woman, because regardless of whether you realize it or not, some people don't work with women or they feel like, you're less than because you're a woman. We see that less now, but when I was coming up, there were still quite a few professionals who had that feeling. So you have to kind of put that aside, and remember that that's their feeling. You're there to do a job and you want to make sure you do the job well. And at the end of the day, they'll end up respecting you because you did a good job and they can't complain about your work. So as long as you do what you're supposed to do, you'll be fine. And you can't let their, I want to say issues, because it's their issue, basically interfere with you doing your job.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I definitely hear that a lot from mentors. Like, hey, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do and doing it exceptionally, there's nothing anybody can say because, like, you're doing a great job and that makes you an asset at the end of the day. That makes perfect
Exactly.
sense.
Yep.
So,
And
go
I
ahead.
hope it's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still there. It's still there.
Of course, it lingers, right? But I'm happy to hear that there has been some growth in some type
Oh
of thing.
yes, yes.
That is always great.
I, it's the exception instead of the rule. When I first started, it was far more common. But I've been working in this industry for it'll be 28 years in June. So, I've seen definitely a transition for the better.
Oh wow, 28 years. That's
Yes.
amazing. Yeah, I'm like, so you've seen a lot of changes as far as just like
Yes.
how the atmosphere looks, and I'm sure you've seen more women kind of trickle into the
Oh,
environment.
yes. Definitely. And women of color, all colors. We're really seeing, women break through and make a difference in this industry. So.
I love that. So when it comes to like a girl in middle school who loves math or science but doesn't know what an engineer actually does, can you describe like a general day in the life of something that you're currently working on?
Sure. So basically, I would say as an engineer, you take a problem. Um, Depending on where you're working, it could be a problem within your company or it could be a problem for a client. And you're going to design, engineer um, a solution to their problem. So that's basically what we do. We provide solutions to some of the day to day engineering, day to day, I would say, manufacturing or buildings, etc. We're providing a solution, a design that would basically make things better.
Okay.
So
I love
that's
the way
what I would say engineering is.
Okay. I love the way you put that. That definitely makes it understandable for someone who may not know anything about the field. So when it
Right.
comes to demo chicks, they believe if you can see it, you can be it. And who was the first woman or person of color you saw in a leadership role that made you feel like your dreams were possible?
Sure. So I would say that would have really have been when I was in college. I mean, we see people, but when you're in college and you do like your internships, or in our case, so I went to Drexel, so we did actually did a co-op. When you see women doing what you're doing and in powerful roles. So there was a woman, she was a chemical engineer. She had a chemical engineering background and she was doing safety and she was doing an awesome job. And you could tell she was loved by everybody, very well respected. So to me, that showed that me as a young Black girl, I could see myself in her. You know, I could see myself being her someday. So I would say seeing somebody doing what you're doing, or what you want to do and being successful, that always makes you know that, I can do this. If she can do it, I can do it.
Definitely. I love that. I definitely think that all of the Black women that I know always have like a mentor or like I had a friend's mom for me. When I was growing up, my mom worked a lot, and we had a neighbor who had a daughter my age. And whenever my mom was working, she would like take us to like different places. The first like play I saw was with her. She was a part of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and it was like, oh, that was my first understanding of like sororities and the power in them and what they do for the community and community oriented women. And I just always was amazed because everything that I do, I reflect back on like just meeting my neighbor and seeing, different paths towards life. And it's definitely important. It's something that you never forget.
For
Um,
sure.
yes, I'm curious, how do you use basically, like, can you share a first time on a project that didn't go as planned and what that taught you about resilience and how you use that moving forward?
So definitely have had several lessons. I was on a so I am a project manager now, so I'm no longer doing day-to-day engineering. Basically, I lead a team of engineers doing projects. So I was, as a project manager, my first real big project. We went through the design. It was tough. It was behind schedule. We had a lot of, issues with the client making changes, um, and construction was kind of difficult. So what I would say is, no matter what issues you face, you just have to be resilient to overcome those because at the end of the day, the project went in overall well, and they're making very good product to this day. Even though we had all the challenges from design through construction, overall, it was a successful project. So you just have to remember there are always obstacles, and you just can never give up, and you have to continue to do a great job. And in the end, it'll all work itself out.
That's great. And I was going to say that definitely circles back to your point earlier about finding solutions and then making sure that you're on top of your job. So it all fits together. And then I'm also curious, when it comes to like advice for an apprentice, like what is the skill outside of math and science, like communication or creativity or leadership that you think is essential for a successful engineer?
would say as an engineer, you need to make sure you're asking questions and you need to work with your team. Never be afraid to ask a question. To me, that is the key in being successful is learning and making sure you're fully understanding what you're doing. Um, I think that is like a basic thing that, so many people are afraid to ask a question because you're going to look like you're going to feel like you're asking a dumb question, but we have to remember there's never dumb questions. And you just need to make sure that you are fully understanding what you're doing so that you can basically make a difference to your team, because in any team you're only as good as your weakest person on that team, and you don't want to be that weak link. You want to make sure you are contributing to the best of your ability.
Understood. Okay. So when it comes to teams, what does a typical team look like? Like, who are you normally working with, or who are your peers when you're working on a project?
Sure. So you'll have normally our teams are multidiscipline. So you'll be working with an electrical engineer and designer, a mechanical engineer and designer, a process engineer. Typically, we don't have a design function. We work with the other disciplines. You'll have structural engineer typically and designer. You'll also have a project manager. You'll also have cost control, somebody watching, what you're spending. So it's a multidiscipline team working on different facets to be successful at the project.
Okay. And then when it comes to the field currently, are there any like new exciting kind of openings or options as far as careers or titles come that you've noticed?
Sure. So I know I'm a chemical engineer, but if you're an electrical engineer, one of the things that is going to be very big soon is with all these data centers, they're going to be starting to build mini nuclear plants. So it's nuclear plants on a much smaller scale, and it's just going to change the way, from an electrical engineering standpoint, we do things. So that's an exciting thing to see, like a whole new industry popping up, doing, smaller scale nuclear kind of power options.
Okay, that is exciting to hear about. It's not too often that we get to live through too many new booms or transitions that are happening with new industries, especially anything that has to do with tech, or especially science. So that's exciting. And
Absolutely.
then,
That's one thing AI is fueling. AI is fueling the need for these data centers. So all of that will start. You'll really start seeing a focus shift on how power is provided. So.
okay, understood. And then I'm just curious, what does that mean kind of for our ecosystem?
So nuclear is always seen as a cleaner kind of cleaner kind of power compared to some of the older technologies like coal and things of that sort, which are going away because they're not environmentally friendly.
Okay.
So it's a more environmentally friendly kind of power option. So I think it's good. Because it'll hopefully utilize less resources, less real estate. We won't have to, take down so many trees. Because I just feel like, everywhere we see construction everywhere, and they're taking out all these trees and things like that. So I just hope, we continue to provide options that are environmentally safe with everything that's going on with global warming. We need to be more conscious about our environment.
Understood. Thank you for explaining that. And then I just
Sure.
have one final question. If you could go back and give your 10-year-old self one piece of advice about pursuing a career in ACE, what would it be?
Would say just stay committed, never give up. Um, because even when things get hard, classes get difficult, you'll start, I remember thinking, I need a break, I need to take a year off. And, I didn't, thank goodness for my family, but just never give up and, give this thing that you love your all, so that you will be successful at it.
Okay, that was great. Thank you, Shea, for sharing these things with me. I feel like I learned so much in such a short amount of time.
You're
I'm
welcome.
I'm motivated myself now.
What's your background?
So I studied community psychology. And then from there, I actually pivoted into doing art curation. I came back from college. I went to college in Atlanta, Georgia. I was born and raised in Long Beach, though. And then I came back from college to Long Beach. And I just realized it wasn't a lot of space for people my age, like when I was in my younger 20s. Like if you didn't want to go to a bar, it was kind of like there were no options. Me and my friends started putting together music and art shows that kind of took off. So from there, I started working with art curators in different art spaces and creating space for community. And then I kind of got engulfed in the understanding of space. And I currently work mostly doing housing, so teaching and educating people on the rights and doing policy work for renters and housing in our city. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's
and
important work. That's important work.
it's actually very funny because I never saw myself enjoying policy so much, but understanding how systems work and structures has become like very fascinating to me. So I'm actually thinking of growing my repertoire. And I've been really enjoying working with DemoChicks and finding out about women in these demographics who are creating housing literally, and
Yeah,
creating space and all of the different avenues that you can go in ACE. I think it's great.
that's awesome work because it's so we're challenged these days with affordable housing. So what you're doing is awesome. You're giving people a chance to be homeowners and live in places that are not impoverished and all of that. So you're doing awesome work. That's great.
Thank you. Yeah, we all play a part of the bigger puzzle, right?
Yes, for sure, for sure.
Well, it's definitely, I'll let you get back to your day, but it's definitely been great connecting with you.
Well, thank you so very much, for taking the time to talk with me. And, I Demo Chicks, Robin and I are very good friends. We went to college together. So, Demo Chicks success is very important. So I just anything that I could do to help.
No, that's appreciated. I really love Robin. I love her mission and what she's doing. So hopefully we can make sure that this keeps rolling and that we keep bringing in more women like you.
Oh, amen. Amen. Okay. Well,
Enjoy
thank you
your
so very
day.
much.
Of course.
Thank you too.
Bye,
Take care.
Shea.
Bye bye.